web is so visual, one of the first things that you're going to need to do is prepare your images for use online on the web. One of the most common things that happens in WordPress based websites is that people upload photos that are dimension wise perhaps okay because the software will resize it down, but the file size is so large that it causes the website to slow down. Think of the internet like a pipe, and if you start, it's going to clog up. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to prepare your image for use in the site. And here's an example, and you can notice the size of this. Images are based on pixels, and these are little tiny squares. This particular photo that we're going to upload is going to be 1200 pixels wide by 900 pixels high. And that's the size that you want to always aim for when you're uploading your photos. You also don't want them file size wise to be much bigger than about 200 kilobytes. So I'm going to show you two ways that you can resize your images. One will be using Photoshop, and if you don't have Photoshop, there's a free web-based application that I'm going to show you that you can use, especially if you're working from home. Here's an example of a picture that's on a page. Here's an example of a picture from the home page. So you can see how it makes it smaller and it makes it fit. But if the photos are all the same size, then you get this nice clean horizontal edge that all lines up and it looks very nice. The native image itself is very large. I showed you the dimensions, and it's easy to find it by going up here and clicking on image and then image size. You can also use your keyboard shortcuts. On a PC it's Alt Control I, and on a Mac it's Alt Command I. So you can see here from this dialog box that the width is 4,897 pixels by 3,475 pixels at a resolution of 300. This would be perfect if you want to print a poster size of this. It's also almost 50 meg. So we are going to what's called resample this, and I'm going to use a different tool other than just changing the size for you. And I'm going to show you how to do this using the crop tool. The crop tool is in your toolbar, and on mine it's actually the fifth thing down. It's this little guy here. I'm going to select it, and you'll see that it automatically puts these bounding boxes around the edge of the picture. So I'm going to tell it up here the width, the height, and the resolution. So I want it to be 1200 pixels by 900 pixels at 900 pixels at 72 is the resolution. Why 72? That is the standard resolution for a computer monitor or a monitor on a phone. It can go as high as 96, or some people just round it to 100, but the majority of monitors 72 is ideal. For most monitors, 72 pixels per inch is actually ideal. Once it does that, you can move it around. I like the way it's suggesting that I crop this, so I'm just going to hit my enter key, and I'm going to hit Control plus, and I'm going to zoom in. Now my picture is, if I go image size, my picture is 1200 pixels by 900 pixels at a resolution of 72, which is exactly what I want it to be. Now, it's still very, very large file size, so I need to compress it even further because I want it to load as quickly as possible once I use it on the web. Photoshop has a built-in tool to do that. All you need to do is click File and Export, and then you want to save for the web. This should default if you use the preset for JPEG High. Now the quality, you can play with this a little bit, and you can go down to between 50 and 60%. Don't go less than 50% or you may have some distortion in your photo. And then you click Done, and Now you're going to click File, Save As, because you don't want to overwrite your original image. And I've actually already resized this, so I'm going to rename this BLM for Black Lives Matter with the name of the photographer and where it was taken. And I'll show you why I'm being very specific about how I'm naming my files. And I'm going to hit save, yes, overwrite. All right, so I'm done with that. Now I'd like you to meet your new best friend. If you don't have Photoshop, or if you're out in the field and you need to quickly edit your photos on your phone, this wonderful, wonderful tool is available for desktop, and there's also an awesome mobile app for this. Pixlr, as it says here, is a free online photo editor right in your browser. It does pretty much everything that Photoshop does that you'll need. Now, it has two different editors. It has X and it has E. You probably won't need the Pixlr E for what you'll want to do here. I strongly suggest, if you want to go that level, that perhaps you really become familiar with those techniques in Photoshop first. So I'm going to introduce you to Pixlr X. I'm going to click here. And this is the interface that you're going to see. I'm going to clear my history. Now you will have ads because nothing is free anymore. Nothing is free anymore without a price, I'll put it that way. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we can load an image from the web from the URL if it's already online. You can create a new image, and you can also search stock photos, which is I don't encourage this for journalists. You should be taking your own photos, but sometimes you can't. So for example, if I want to take a picture of wildflowers, because we're stuck at home, so it's kind of hard to get out and take pictures of wildflowers. Be nice to find people. Here's a really pretty picture. Nice thing here is the image you selected is very large. So in Photoshop, if you remember, we had to resize this, we had to do a couple extra steps, and here you can type 1900, and here you can type 1200 by 800 and apply, and it will resize that picture for you. It's all done. If you want to open them, and I'm going to just hit save, and I'm going to name it. Remember I said be very specific? I'm going to name this Wildflowers, so I remember what story it goes with, number one, and number two, what is in the picture in case I want to use it at a later date, because it is a stock photo. We want it as a JPEG. We want it at 60%. You can also select medium if you want. And you can see right here what size it's going to be what size it will be when it's done. So that's a really good size. And I'm going to hit download. Now it's going to say that it's going to save it to a default directory, but I have my computer set up that it asks me where I want my pictures to go. So if I keep a folder on my desktop, I'm going to put it in there. So now my picture is ready to upload to the website. Another example would be if you have a photo that you want to upload yourself. You click Open Image, and here's my protest image, the very large size, which again, 4,897 by 3,475. I want it to be 1,200 by 900. 1,200 by 800 or 1,200 by 900 is okay, either one. All right, I'm going to hit save. I'm going to hit medium and download, and I'm going to save it as number one here because I've already uploaded this. Save. Okay, and it's downloading to my desktop, to my folder on my desktop. And we are ready to go back and open up WordPress. When you log into WordPress, the first thing you're going to see is your dashboard. There's a few of these links that I'm going to have several links here that you won't have. You're going to be concerned with posts and with media. You have two options. You can go to the existing library or you can add new, which is what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to click add new. You can drag your file in from your desktop or you can select. And there's my picture. Now it says maximum file size 100 megabytes. That would be if you were going to upload like a very large video file or an audio file. I would recommend that you put those on a third-party host like YouTube or SoundCloud or something like that. So right now I'm going to click edit because I want to make some additions to this. So here's my picture. Now see, I gave it this file name because this is how it imports it. Why? I may want to go back a year from now and find this picture. So I need to make sure that it's something that I can search for versus when it comes off the camera it might be IMG 5055 or something like that. Alright, so you can confirm here that it's a JPEG. Here's the file size, 559 kilobytes, and the dimensions, 1200 by 900, which is exactly what I want. You want to make sure that you give it alternative text, and this is because you always want to make sure you address people with disabilities. Somebody who's blind, somebody who's deaf, things like that. If someone's blind, they can't see the pictures, but if you have this turned on and you have this filled in, then this person will actually hear what the caption is in this photo. So I'm going to just give this a title, Protesters. Of course I can't spell. Protesters chant Black Lives Matter at a rally in downtown Los Angeles Tuesday evening. That's the end of my caption, but now I need to make sure I credit my photographer. So I'm going to put Emmerling and Pixabay. That's where I got it from. So if someone comes on and they can't see, it'll read exactly what that alternative text in. The easiest thing is to copy this and paste it in here where the caption is as well. Now description is optional. Sometimes it may pull from this, but for this particular theme, you just need to make sure you have your caption in your alternative text and in your caption field. I'm going to go up here, make sure you hit the update button. Now our media file or photo is ready to input into our story. So now I will show you how to set up your posts and get those ready for publication.